precious memories, unseen angels sent from somewhere to my...
We're Paul and Paula Jarrett, and we've been coming up to this island for almost 40 years. And Helen Finley introduced us to this island and asked us and invited us to come to Bethel Church. And Bethel Church, at the time we didn't know it, but it was going to become an internal, vital part of what God had for our plan to go to be missionaries for almost 3 decades. We went to Papua New Guinea for 11 years with our boys, and then we were asked to help start a school in Chiang Mai, Thailand. And we did that for 14 years. And then God asked us, at my age, to go and adopt 2 girls from Cambodia. We're blessed to be able to be part of Bethel Church. And in the further stories, you'll hear about what God has done through Bethel Church in our life. So, Paula Jarrett of 43 years.
Thank you. In 1979, Helen Finley invited us to come to the island. I can remember her clearly saying, "You would love my island." And we came with 3 little boys, and on that very first visit to the island, we did fall in love, and we bought a piece of property on the east side. We bought it with a handshake and a land contract because we didn't even have our checkbook with us. And over the years, we've kept our contact with the island, and every visit always included a trip to Bethel Church. And in 1986, the Lord called us to be missionaries overseas in Papua New Guinea. And when we went, we sold everything we owned, our home in the Chicago suburbs, and all our furniture and everything, but we kept the piece of island, the piece of property that we had on the island. That was our connection to America as we served for 28 years overseas. And every time we would come back, we would picnic and reminisce, and our connection to America was always Washington Island. And then in the summer of 2003, we got a phone call from Butch Gordon, and he said that there was somebody that was very interested in our piece of waterfront property. And they were willing to trade it for an inland piece of property that had a little cabin on it. So we were very interested in that trade, and we came up and we saw it, and we fell in love with the little cabin, and we made that trade. And at that time, the trade included a nice sum of cash along with it. We had no idea what God was going to do with that amount of money, but we saved it. 6 months later, we were called into Cambodia to rescue 2 girls. And we had the amount of money that we needed to use over the next 10 years as we worked towards their adoption. And then in about 2008, our oldest daughter came back to the island with us. She quickly thought of Bethel as her home, and she was baptized at Schoolhouse Beach with Pastor Green baptized her. So the island and Bethel has always been a tug to our spiritual hearts, and we love to call this home.
My wife and I are still full-time missionaries with New Tribes Mission, and almost 30 years ago, someone handed my wife a brochure. And on that brochure, it said that they needed a shop teacher and a reading specialist in Papua New Guinea. And then what happened is, coming back with the girls, I'm the man and the woman that are handing out the brochures, which are needed all the positions in 17 schools all around the world, mission schools, and 171 different spots. K to 12, all areas, and that's my challenge to you is don't think you're too old, don't think you can't afford it, and don't think that God needs you, because He does need you. And what you can do one of these 3 things. You can pray, you can give, or you can go. And that's my challenge to you today, to be part of one of those. You can do any one of those, or you can do all 3. What Bethel Church has meant to us, going back to Dale Van Duzer and then Phil Green and now Ryan Schmidt, there's a lot of good Bible, solid teaching that we can always come back to. And not just because they support us financially, but it's just a place that encourages us and allows us to come and be fed in the Word of God. And that's what Bethel Church means to us. So as still full-time missionaries with New Tribes Mission, we appreciate your prayers, your encouragement, and your financial support. And there are probably about 5 people from the island that do support us, and we really appreciate that. And that's because of the belief in foreign missions that Bethel Church has. So God bless you, and keep doing what you're doing. You're a blessing. Thank you.
Sacred scenes unfold, precious memories fill my soul.